Flatland is a project by Extant, the UK's leading theatre company of visually impaired artists, in collaboration with robotics expert Dr Ad Spiers of Haunted Pliers and Dr Janet van der Linden of the Open University. Flatland is a large-scale pilot installation which uses haptic technology to guide audiences through an immersive, pitch-black world of sensation and sound, inspired by A.E. Abbott's 19th century novella, Flatland. Dr. Ad Spiers, roboticist.
So we're at Yale University in outside one of the engineering buildings, so the Dunham Lab where I work and where I've been working on the Flatland project, so developing the hardware. The work I've been doing here is basically developing the haptic device for Flatland.
Simultaneously in the UK, Dr. Janet van der Linden worked on incorporating the haptic device into a wireless network, as well as supervising user testing. Flatland is a Digital R&D Fund for the Arts project, supported by Nesta, the Arts and Humanities Research Council, and public funding by the National Lottery through Arts Council England. Tim Plyming, Nesta.
We are on the edge of a really exciting time in terms of creativity, in terms of performance, in terms of broadcast, because of what technology is now going to enable us to do. So what we have to start doing now is playing with this stuff. We have to start playing with the really interesting junction between all of those creative industries and technology. And I suppose the thing that attracted me about working on the Digital R&D Fund, it's the best example I can see of a deliberate intervention to start playing with creative industries and technology. And I think, what does it mean for gaming companies to start working with theatre companies?
Naomi Alderman, journalist and broadcaster.
I think Maria's work is part of a larger movement, therefore, that's going on in allowing audiences to roam, allowing audiences to explore. So I wrote about Flatland in my video games column in The Guardian because it seemed to me to share these important and interesting points with video games.
Colin Nightingale, Punch Drunk.
I think one of the things that I was drawn to in this project is I'm personally very interested in the relationship that people have towards a piece of technology. And as Punch Drunk, we got some of the first round of the Digital R&D Fund for the Arts. We were sort of one of the pioneer projects, and we went through a steep learning curve with that and the process of using cutting edge technology and the issues around that. And so when Maria was looking to put in her application, she spoke to myself and to Pete Higgin, who's our enrichment director, and she was sort of sounding out whether we wanted to get involved in some way on a consultancy level, and we did. And I was really keen to come into a project and try to help.
Yeah, it's a bit stuck in there. Maybe if you lift this.
Katie Gonzalez-Bell, Access Advisor.
Maria and I had discussed the overlap between the project in its theatrical format, but also the potential to use that technology within exhibitions or museums and other cultural organisations where I work, but also that it would be really useful as a tool for interpretation and for an audio and multisensory approach within an exhibition space. So we thought there was a real opportunity to share that knowledge and experience. From a personal perspective, I thoroughly enjoyed my Flatland experience. It was a really interesting and intriguing kind of exploration of a space immersed in darkness, and having a piece of technology that I was completely reliant on to help guide me through that space, I thoroughly enjoyed.
Really, playfulness is a very hard emotion to engender in adults. We tend much more towards seriousness.
It was a humorous experience because I felt that the technology was teasing me and almost taking me in a direction that was playing with me almost, which really allowed me to kind of then freed up my own inhibitions slightly, because I felt then more empowered to explore personally and have an almost dialogue with this piece of technology, which was really exciting.
Within Flatland, you touch things a lot, and it doesn't take long to really have that sense of, there is a beauty here, there is an art here in the way that things feel. So to really be introduced to not only a different way of thinking about what art could mean, which is to say that there is an art of touch and an art of sound, an intimate art, an art that feels more personal. You have to trust. You trust the artist. I trust Maria that she has put me into a safe place and that nothing bad is going to happen. And indeed, she repays my trust.
I think it's really important that the artists that are working with technology can trust it and have time to actually play with it and actually see other test audiences using it and using it fully functioning. I mean, I think one thing that I was really impressed was how the team had managed to integrate so many of the practical elements of it, that you had to go through. There was obviously there was going to be a need to actually train people and make people put suits on and put the device on, and I thought that it was very clever how that was thread into the narrative of this piece.
It's taken me 26 years to devise, design and construct the device you will soon hold in your hand.
I found the professor who was dressing us all up to go into Flatland very charming. There's this little box that you're holding that guides you around the space, which is incredibly delightful. It's a really enjoyable tactile object. I think audio actually, strangely, is a bit of an underused medium. Even though we have radio, audio is very intimate. Once you've got the headphones on, it feels like somebody is whispering in your ear. And clearly these are things that Maria, the artist, has taken tremendous care over, to make every part of it feel delightful.
I was very impressed with how it actually all ended up coming together, and it was very slick, and it didn't feel like an R&D project. It felt like it was a long way towards actually being a project that you could actually be charging tickets for, and this start touring around the country.
It's a very funny thing coming out of Flatland and coming back into actually a world that feels a lot flatter.
Because it can help to pinpoint where you are in a space, it doesn't have to necessarily drive you through a narrative. It can do, as used in Flatland, it can help to do that, but also it can be used in a more kind of individual and autonomous way, which is really exciting, and that's something that we're hoping to do.
How do you guide people round while at the same time allowing them free roaming, and to what extent do you want to be able to free roam, and how much do we want our art to tell us what to do, and how much do we want it to allow us to explore?
It's a very exciting time at the moment for non-traditional theatre, and these kind of sensory experiences, things like Flatland, that there is an audience for this type of work. They're kind of crying out for it.
When it comes to looking at accessibility and inclusion, that technology is definitely the area that has the most opportunity, because there is so much funding behind it at the moment, and also because it's the most kind of innovative area, and so it's something that I'm really excited about.
And you always feel slightly, with some of the ways that we've previously looked at accessibility within performance, that it's a sort of either a special intervention or it's a secondary intervention. What I really like about Flatland is the democracy of the experience. And what I couldn't help thinking about early in my career career I worked in radio drama, and I was all the way through this afternoon thinking, what does this mean to take a classic radio drama and to introduce some of the things that we are now experiencing, and I've experienced with this amazing thing this afternoon, Flatlands. What would it mean for the BBC to take a Radio 3, one of their long-form 2-hour Sunday night dramas, and what would it mean for Maria then to look at that and think, what are then the different dimensions we can start to add in? And there's not a country like ours that has the expertise to do that. And I think that, and the possibilities of that are endless.
Configuration makes the man.